Welcome to a special edition of Super Terra Meets, a project that I discovered a few months ago, and the extraordinary character behind the project itself. I'm really excited to meet and talk about the future. This particular project, minted on Talis.art, and has really developed, I would say, quite a cult following, myself included, with a really active Discord and actually participation in a range of different cross Terra activities. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome the creator of, well, Protoheads and Robotheads and many more things to come. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So I think probably to start with, it'd be great if you could tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, about the project, and actually very particularly, why Terra?
So I go by the artist extraordinaire in the NFT space, although most people just shorten it to extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm.
And I view NFTs as an avenue for real-world development. And let me elaborate on that. There aren't a lot of different ways for upwards mobility economically in the world other than high-risk things like NFT trading or stocks, etc. And so the goal of Robotheads is to give something affordable so that more people are able to enter into the space and, play around with it and hopefully turn a little bit of a profit for themselves. As for why we chose Terra, we'd have to go back into the history of the project. We originally started out as a Solana project, but we found that the community there wasn't what we wanted to work with. Mostly people out for themselves, what you would call rippers, had saturated the market in Solana, and frankly, we just didn't like that. On Terra, we found a smaller community, but more close-knit, more collaboration, and that felt like something we would be happy to participate in.
Excellent. I think for me, as someone who's been in Terra now for about, 15, 16 months, maybe slightly more, I can absolutely concur that this is a chain where there's a very nice warm welcome and a sense of collaboration and community that I've not really experienced anywhere else in the crypto space. And as someone who enjoys conversations and discussions with others, I found it to be very, very open. I think for me, and what you just said there resonates, because some of the projects that I've seen launched have had extraordinarily high mint prices, and that really, with a few exceptions, has meant that I've probably sat on the sidelines with those. But with yours, it's very affordable, and every so often I've gone in and bought an additional one, and it's nice because the art style is different. I've not seen that with any other project. I think it's a nice approach. I also like the festive collection that you did as well, around sort of Christmas of 2021. That was a nice launch piece. It'd be good, I guess, from my perspective, to understand. Obviously, tremendous news a couple of weeks ago with the mint sellout, which is, excuse me, thoroughly deserved, and it has, I think, in no small part been due to a very nice community Discord where we've all kind of gathered and sort of built quite a friendly and wide-ranging series of topical discussions on an almost daily basis. But I think what my next question really is around is the art style itself, the Robotheads. I mean, what was it that inspired that, and do you have any other sort of future plans to go in any different directions?
Right now, my focus is solely on robot heads. Uh, I mean, I might do some personal stuff under my own brand on the side, but nothing nearly as extensive as what I want to do here. Maybe like photographs or things like that, personal projects.
Hmm.
But as for a large scale project, Robot Heads is the thing for me.
Excellent. Well, I think on both fronts, I'd be interested to see, what else you're developing, and I'm sure you'll share that widely in the Terra community. But in terms of robot heads, I'm an intrigued, and I'll declare this for the listeners. I'm an intrigued holder. I've minted several, including a very special one. I don't intend to sell any of them. I like the project. I like what you're developing. I'd love to hear if there's anything you could share about you kind of the next stages for robot heads.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're almost done with our light paper, so this information will be public very shortly anyway. So the current timeline that we have, and I can't give you any fixed dates, and so it's not on a roadmap already. But the vision we have for the project currently is have several mints similar to this one, smaller size, affordable pricing, in order to raise the funds necessary to get onto a metaverse. This is 3D art, and it's based on an Android design. So to put it onto the metaverse seems like the next logical step. And then once we're in the metaverse and we've had experience with making full body designs with the proper rigging and movement mechanics, then we want to go into the gaming market. Now, personally, I love gaming. I'm a huge gamer. So to me, this is just following my passions, and part of that would be to create a game that I would like to play. And the additional revenue doesn't hurt, but the goal really is just to make something that I and others can enjoy playing.
Excellent. So I think for me, although, and I've said this on a number of sort of calls and interviews, I'm not a big gamer myself. I'm normally the person getting shot in the first screen or something like that. It's not really my forte. But I do love the art side of things. I think it's exciting. Obviously, the metaverse is something that I've spoken with a number of people about in recent weeks, and I think probably two questions. The first one is really your vision, if you like, for robot heads in the metaverse sounds, and again, possibly putting words into your mouth here, sounds very gaming orientated. What do you think to the other potential uses of the metaverse? I've seen some examples of almost kind of virtual shopping malls or galleries. I mean, do you have any preference at this stage? Would you want robot heads involved in that as well, or would you primarily see it as a kind of route in, as a kind of a game opportunity?
Personally, I'd like to keep the gaming separate from our metaverse enterprising. Uh, the metaverse for me is more of a social space.
Mm-hmm.
I have more experience with things like VR chat, which is basically a virtual reality chat room where people can dress up in whatever skins they like and just talk to each other, or think of it sort of like a club or bar environment where you just socialize there. So that's more what I'm feeling initially, at least.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, sorry. I guess yes, you're right. Because I guess my interpretation was a slightly different when I was linking the two together. No, you're absolutely right. So I guess yeah, gaming in my own mind was separate to metaverse, and clearly that's kind of clarified that with me. Um, the social environment I think is very important and something that I touched upon in the opening of this chat was the whole Discord, and I have mentioned the Robot Heads Discord on a number of calls and general conversations because for me it creates a social feel that I haven't really seen, and there are lots of excellent Discords out there, but I haven't really seen it where it breaks away from, if you like, the core um, if you like, project focus. So it's not all about what's happening next with this, what's the next mint phase, what's this, that, and the other. It is genuinely, legitimately a really nice tangent to go on. I think in my own case, I've talked with your good self and others about the likes of Oscar Wilde. We've talked about time travel, the perfect place to be. Uh, what would be the ideal time in history? All these kind of great conversational points and many others besides. I think there's one around which creature you want to be and so on. What was your thinking behind that?
Uh, well, the thing is, we're in a space where the main focus is money. Let's face it, that's why we're here. On the other hand, because we're a smaller project, we don't have the gigantic budget of, say, another one, and we don't want to go down the route of just hyping something up and then not delivering to the magnitude that was promised. We need something to fill the time and make people feel like they want to be here. And for that, we came up with the daily challenge. Now, mostly it's things like getting to know you questions, like icebreakers. But sometimes we'll chuck in, do this. We have a Wordle channel. Sometimes we'll say, do the Wordle and put it in there. Or say, like, we have a charity mint coming up. This is actually going to be today's challenge.
Ah.
Give an attribute that you would like to see in our charity piece. So like a suggestion. Right?
Okay.
So then the community as a whole can build a robot head that we can auction off to raise money for Angel Protocol.
Excellent. I'll get my thinking cap on, and obviously, depending on when people are listening to this, the challenge may have gone. But I do encourage anyone listening to this conversation to pop into the Discord. It's very friendly, and there's lots of good competitions. I remember the one from yesterday was to name a song that was playing. In my case, it's playing in my head, so, but I did still name it. So no, that's all great. So for me, I love the genuine sense of the size and scope of the project. You're not overreaching or overpromising, because I think that's something I've seen in Terra quite extensively. But I think what's interesting for me as well, I mean, absolutely, there's an element of the financial investment for a lot of people. I think for me, what I enjoy about this sort of project is it's building up more of a community focus around it. It's not a naked come in, buy, sell, turn, churn approach, which I think is very refreshing, and that's something that perhaps appeals to me more than. And again, all projects have their merits, but I think this has more of an intimate feel. Something else I'd like to ask though, because I saw it in a discussion. I understand that the robot heads themselves, I think there was obviously a relatively small collection released. You've actually kind of in the background been working on, if you like, additional, whether it's additional heads or variations. I just wondered if you could kind of share any more of that at this stage.
Right, yes. So in our VIP channels, which is what our holders can gain access to, verified their NFTs with Lunar Assistant, I like to ask the holders for some help or advice, see what direction I want to go into, or I just want their input on something. See, so one of the things that we recently had come up was that we were having difficulties listing on other secondary markets, in this case, Messier Art, which is a new marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
due to how royalties are written into Talis contracts. And so I brainstormed a couple of options and put them forward to my holders and said, what do you think? So what you were referring to was the option of airdropping another 350 protoheads that are of a different design, so that these new ones would be on a new contract that would be able to be listed elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, originally we made 2,000 protoheads, and out of them we selected 350 of the best ones. So it's safe to say we have another 1,650
Mm-hmm.
left over if we need it.
Excellent. So they could be the expansion collection potentially in future, building on, if you like, the Generation Zero that was launched on Talis. So you mentioned Messier, obviously a new marketplace, successful first mint with the Poppin' Puffins Eels project follow-up, which was something I personally enjoyed and took part in. Do you have any? Obviously, it sounds like there's a kind of a challenge around whether it's a like a refresh, if you like, with a new contract, or it's a second generation. Do you have any sense of timescales at this stage of that? I'm just thinking more for anyone listening in, and also importantly for anyone wanting to come new into the project. Do you have a plan to expand out of that 1,650 additional proto heads that have been developed?
Well, ideally, I'd like to make newer things for the next collection, simply because there should be improvements made
Mm-hmm.
on the project. That's my personal belief, that we have to do better each time, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
So if we don't touch the other 1,650, that doesn't really bother me, simply because I want to make new things, I want to put out new things, and I feel like I can make a better design than we have now. And on top of that, we are a story-based NFT project. If we put out the same type of NFT, I wouldn't be able to write a new chapter of the story,
Mm-hmm.
because technically we would be in the same place,
Yes.
and I want to develop the story. So by making new items that reflect the changes in the story, I would be able to not only put out better things for people to enjoy, I'd be able to add a little bit more by expanding the story into the next chapter.
Absolutely, and that makes full sense to me. Effectively, a evolution of the work that you're doing, and each phase would have its own different if you like, signature associated with it. So that makes total sense. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see how that all develops. And I think something as well that I'd like to share with the listeners is, even at this very early stage, one of the things I've really enjoyed is the fact that you've involved the holders at the very heart of any decisions or thoughts. And I think that's, again, and I know it's not unique, lots of other projects do this, but I like the way you've quickly established that and set it all up. So I'm quite excited to see, yeah, the next directions that the project's going in. I mean, with that in mind, is there anything else? And again, I don't want to steal too much of the thunder out of the light paper that's coming, but anything else that the broader Terra community should keep their eyes out for from the project in the next, say, 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah. The charity mint I was talking about earlier, we just finished finalizing the collection with the other projects that we're working with. And we're going to call it Terra Charity. I don't have a date yet, but estimated about 2 to 3 weeks, so very soon.
Excellent.
The mint price will be half a Luna, so still affordable, I think.
Absolutely.
And for that too, I asked the community as a whole, as part of one of our challenges, what price do you think would be suitable? And I got 50 UST suggested, and half a Luna is just about there right now, so we think it's good.
Absolutely, with the huge rebound of Luna in the last 48 hours, really, at the time of recording. We have, in fact, literally only a few hours ago, seen Luna hit a new all-time high. But I think, yeah, half a Luna slash 50 UST, I think feels like a very reasonable mint price to set for the next phase and for the charity opportunity. So yeah, I think that sounds excellent. I shall certainly look forward to that. And I think for me as well, the way that the growth of this whole collection and subsequent phases will draw in more interest. I think it's fair to say you have certainly, I would certainly call him a celebrity in Terra terms. You have a big fan in Finn, who's a regular in the Discord as well, and very passionate. And I think that is a testament to not only the arts but also community, and I think personally I really enjoy that aspect. I think before we sort of close off, really good to just share, get your thoughts rather. And I always like to ask this question, and it's not intended to be a tricky one, but I would say, what are you most impressed with or excited about in the Terra space right now, aside from obviously your own very exciting Robotheads project development?
I'm a big fan of collaboration. So some time ago, I would have said Lost Loot, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right now, I'm most excited for Messier. I just like their features, and I feel like we can develop our project around them and make for a more interesting story. Looking completely away from the project, meaning nothing in it for me, I would have to go with, let's see. I would have to go with the development of the Stardust Union. Finn, absolutely loved the guy. After we had our podcast recording, he invited me into this group of artists and developers called the Stardust Union. And from there, I just made so many connections with a ton of different projects. Like this charity mint, it was just a group of projects from the union. And now we've made our presence known publicly. And I would like to see where we head, what direction we head into as a union. I think that would be really interesting to see where we go.
That's excellent. And I think, again, for disclosure, I'm a member, albeit not perhaps as active as I should be, but I am a member of the Stardust Union, very kindly invited by another really enjoyable and innovative project in the Unstables. And it's been really nice to be in the group. And I have a number of friends who I've got to know in the community prior to joining. So Gavertz, who's a great guy, and a variety of other independent artists, and in fairness, your good self as well. And I think it's a lovely collaborative space, and I probably need to explore more how I can help support that. I guess a lot of what I do is, it's literally independent interviewing, reporting on Terra, sharing the great stories, letting people know what's going on far beyond the space, to really help grow the whole Terra universe, for want of a better expression. But yeah, I think that's a great shout on Stardust Union. It's a very friendly group. I feel very humble because I'm not a developer or an artist, but I go in there and it's fascinating. I think I've put in a couple of comments and so on, but I'm fairly quiet, but a passionate supporter of everything that the union does. And I think probably, as you've seen from my other work, I really enjoy the collaborative side. And I think that's one of the nicest things about Terra, is how everyone comes together to support each other. There are, as with any chain, the occasional bad actor or questionable project, and I've been rugged a few times, but I always try and put my best thought forward whenever I'm talking to someone new, with a view that I'm looking for the positive outcome. And I think I've mostly not been disappointed. It's the exception rather than the rule. So I mean, that's been really great. I think for me, I'm really excited to see how the next few weeks play out, and love to have the opportunity to have a further conversation, perhaps post the charity launch, which I think is incredibly exciting. And obviously I look forward to seeing how the Messier art aspects develop, and the new, if you like, creative chapters to the story unfold. Any last words for the listeners before we wrap everything up?
For our holders specifically, if you haven't verified your NFT in Discord, do it. Like, we do so much in the VIP channels, so just do it. Trust me, it's worth it.
Excellent. And I think that's an excellent sentiment to end on. And as someone who has verified, it's a great collaborative group, and I'd heartily encourage anyone. You can obviously pick up Robotheads on the secondary market on Talis.art. It's a small collection, but it is an affordable collection, and I think that's one of the big appeals for me. There are many groups out there that I look on and would love to be a part of, but I frankly don't have the thousands of dollars required to purchase an NFT to take part. Whereas with Robotheads, it's an affordable and dare I say it, a very egalitarian feel to the club. There's no ego. Everyone wants to help each other, and I think that's a really nice aspect that I've found throughout Terra. So thank you once again, extraordinaire. It's been an absolute pleasure to finally sit down and do the sessions. I know we had a few aborted attempts. Time zone differences are a big challenge in a global world. But thank you very much for your time, and obviously look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you for having me.